So I was playing on a club team in Sweden in a tournament. Came back to Iceland where the junior national team was being put together, and I was actually on the junior nationals. At the time, I was 15, and I was playing on the U18. And a college coach from the U.S. named Marv Harshman was putting on a coaching clinic in Iceland, and they used the junior nationals as for players. That was my first exposure to American coaches, and the coaches that were there with Coach Harshman, they all expressed interest and let me know that if I was interested in coming to the U.S., they would try to, potentially try to help me, find places to play in, obviously at the high school level because I was so young. And I waited a year. When I was 16 years old, I called them up and said, what can we do? How can I get to the U.S.? And they started the ball rolling. We got some people together, and I found a family that I could stay with, and ended up staying in high school for 2 years.
Well,
and from there I earned a scholarship to college, and the rest you probably know.
Yeah, that's quite insightful because and we'll jump ahead a bit here because you mentioned Marv Harshman, and the interesting thing about you becoming a Husky later on is that Marv Harshman recruited quite a lot of Europeans during his time there. Chris Welp and Detlef Schrempf, similarly to you, were in his backyard, and they also went to high school in the state of Washington. But then there's also the
Right.
Canadian-Danish Lars Hansen, who preceded you at Washington. That's one heck of an international front line between you four. So was Coach Harshman, was his recruiting going as far as Europe back then? Because that would be quite unusual for that time, I imagine.
Apparently so. I mean, I only know that he ended up in Iceland because he was actually doing a coaching clinic in I believe it was in Scandinavia, and somebody from the Icelandic Basketball Federation was there and found out that he was an avid fly fisherman. And obviously, as you may know, rivers fly fishing in Iceland is very popular and very good. So they coaxed him. They talked him into coming to Iceland. They said, we'll take you fishing if you do one or do a clinic for us. So he ended up extending his stay in Scandinavia to stop in Iceland on the way back home. As you know, flying Iceland Air is usually the best way to go and cheapest way to go. So they worked out a deal. And that's how he ended up covering Scandinavia. But the German connection, I just don't know enough about it. But obviously they came right behind me and Flossie. So, we had two Icelandic 7-footers that ended up playing at UW.
That's a fantastic connection. Perhaps he liked German beer, and that's how he ended up with Chris Welp and Detlef Schrempf. But the fact that a liking for fishing landed you to Washington is quite the coincidence in a way. So